Yeah, that boy ain't done yet. I'm watching that Roy Jones and Lacey fight. That was a pretty good fight for Jones. Hold on, man. Let me turn this down, right? You know, we was talking about some fights between Roy Jones. I had put a tape out earlier, and I said that Roy Jones is not done yet. You know, even though he lost his last 5 fights, right? You know, so you know, boxing styles. That's really all there is with him. You know what I mean? I mean, he still has the ability. If you look at Bernard Hopkins, he's still going at 42, 43 years old. He's still going at it, man. And he's competing with young fellas, man, and guys that are in their early 30s or later 20s. You know, he's doing pretty well with with a lot of these guys. You know, and that's because he had to alter the way that he boxed from back in his day, when he was a young blood doing a lot of fighting, you know, boxing at the time. So it goes the same with Roy Jones. He's getting a little older now. I don't know exactly how old he is. I know he's in his 30s. So I think that it's just a matter of going back to the drawing board and making some changes. So here we are. These are the main 2 fighters I'm talking about today. Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones Jr. Okay? Now, who do I have to pick on that fight? If you guys saw my other videos, did I actually talk about it? I briefly touched on it. So I want you guys to know, for the record, who I'm picking to be the winner of this fight. And from what I understand, April 17th, I believe, right? April 17th at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, of course, is going to be Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones Jr. So, both of those guys said that they weren't interested in each other after a while, right? And lo and behold, apparently the money was right, especially for Bernard Hopkins, because he's definitely a businessman. I give him a lot of respect for that, you know. And Roy Jones, he's a businessman also, and I give both of these guys equally amount of respect. But these 2 guys that said at one point, you know, trying to make that second fight happen years before, after the first one, that you know, it's kind of was a, you know, one guy accusing another guy of dip running and dodging, and the other guy saying, you know, he didn't want to pay, he wasn't worthy of being paid that much money. Bernard Hopkins threw on a table at one point, winner take all. Roy Jones was like, what, are you crazy? You know, anybody in their right mind is going to do that. So the fight basically just didn't happen, you know. And now here it is again. Maybe because Roy Jones have not had a good winning streak. I don't know. Now he's talking Bernard Hopkins. So I say this. For Bernard Hopkins, his victory to win, okay, is to continue doing what he's doing. He throws combination and ties your man up. He break loose from the combination or get divided by the referee, and he'll do the same thing over and over again. And that's basically how he wears his man down these days. You know, and Bernard Hopkins does or can possess a power punch. He's pretty accurate. He does a pretty slick version of inside boxing. If you notice, when he get in tight, he'll tuck his head down, and he'll be in a clinch with you, and he'll throw 6-inch punches, which pretty much most times hit their mark. You know, because he's pretty used to fighting out of that turtle shell. And when he is not in a turtle shell, he'll throw maybe a 1, 2, or 3, maybe even a 4, and then grab and get back into that turtle and throw shots on the inside. That's his victory to win. Now, as far as Roy Jones is concerned, as we all know, Roy Jones possesses, or used to possess, this overwhelming speed, right? He himself have said in a couple of interviews that his speed was his victory to most of his wins, which is true. Because it's not like he has an outstanding amount of power either. He has a nice left hook though, you know. But the left hook is coming from the waist, which I'm a little afraid for him. You know, if he has not went back to the drawing board and brought that left hand up higher from his waistline. He is not the young Roy Jones that he used to be, so he has to fight a little more cautiously. You cannot just go out there and be reckless like you used to, because you had the ability, you had the speed, you know, and you had everything in your favor, man. But now the youth is a little sliding away from you a little bit, you know. So Roy Jones, his victory is to bring his left hand up higher, just like he keeps his right hand. Well, really, he keeps both of his hands down by his waistline, you know, relying on this great speed of his, which is not there anymore. So I mean, it's there, but it's just not as fast as it used to be, where a lot of these guys are pretty much picking up on that, you know. And definitely somebody who's been around like Bernard Hopkins, he done already fought him once, and he's been watching this man's style for years. So it's not like Bernard is going to go in and make the same mistakes he made before. Now, I think Bernard didn't put enough pressure on him back then when he fought him, you know, the first time. And I think that Bernard, he's a good learner, man. He's the kind of guy that, you know, if he don't get it right the first time, if he gets a second chance, he's going to really capitalize on a lot of your mistakes and try to correct a lot of his own mistakes, because he can do all the fighting he wants right there in the ring at 43 years old plus, you know. And so Roy Jones, his victory is to, in my opinion, of course, is to bring his left guard up and start going a little bit back to the basic. He is definitely not done, but he has a lot to prove on this fight. He's picking a dangerous guy. Maybe he thinks that it's time to fight him now, because Bernard has been in some wars and he's getting older, and that agility is not going to stay with him, you know, as long. And I think he might be banking on that if he trained a little harder, change some things right about now, that he can probably overwhelm Hopkins, you know. And you know, Roy Jones, he has a lot to lose in this fight, because I think if he loses this fight in a not so impressive way, you know, I mean, you can lose impressively by fighting hard down to the very nitty-gritty and bringing it to almost a draw, and that people will remember. They will never forget a battle that way. But if he fights in a way where he's getting tagged a lot, and especially if he get knocked down or knocked out, that's really going to be the end for him getting big fights. This is the last big fight I can see Roy Jones getting. So he has a whole lot to prove. And Bernard Hopkins, either way, hey, if he loses to this guy, again, you know, people can say, well, you know, Bernard is 43 years old. Okay, and he probably still can get, you know, some pretty decent fights. And if he wins on this fight, of course, that's going to bring him way up there. And people are going to say, you know, he's like the Bionic Man, is what they've been saying about him. You know, he's just, you know, just at this point, he's getting better with time. You know, as he ages, he gets better. So, you know, it's a win-win for Bernard. Definitely it's a win-win. But not for Roy Jones right now, you know. So, who I have to win this fight? I say Bernard Hopkins is going to win. Maybe I'm biased because I'm in my 40s. Actually, I'll be 50 tomorrow, February 17th. Hooray for 50, right? But if you see Roy Jones come in this fight still doing what he did before, the way his style was before, shooting from the waistline, then, you know, he's not going to do well, I believe. So that's my prediction on this fight. And I'm going to go back and see the old fight with Jones and Lacey. This was a pretty good fight. I liked it. And, you know, you can call it what you want. You can say what you want. All of it really don't even matter to me. I love this boxing business. And I'm going to go ahead and give my opinion regardless. Woo! Nice fight. So, to all you guys out there and all you boxing guys out there, remember what Coach Kirkland always tells you. Keep your guard up, right? And stay out of trouble. Yeah. Alright then. I'm going to catch you guys later. I wish all the fighters to have safe fights, that nobody gets seriously hurt in this business. And You fans out there, keep on doing what you're doing, showing your interest in boxing, because that's what's going to keep us alive, right? Boxing ain't never going to die, baby, so long as it's people like me and you checking it out. Check you out later. Peace.